You cannot comprehend the true nature of God through understanding alone. It can only be known by experiencing it. God is not a being or a spirit characterized by rage, boasting of limitless power and eternity. These are all human interpretations of God, shaped by societal egotism and the obsession with control. In actuality, God is everything and everyone, including you and the people around you. God is the driving force behind creation and evolution, and its essence is omnipresent, residing within each and every one of us. However, if you become overly attached to your ego, the presence of God can easily slip from your awareness. The ego creates a rift between you and the divine. And in the result of ego, we have led ourselves with an attribution of many false and misleading characteristics to God. It has made God an external entity, which is fully developed ego, and is capable of judging and hurting. Do you see now? The various depictions of God incorporate ego-like qualities. Throughout countless religious systems, deities and mythologies are often personified with egoic traits in order to help us understand the concept of God. However, this personification can obscure our perception of the true divine nature. As Neville Goddard said, "Stop believing in God and start believing as God." To truly experience God, we must look inward and connect with it through direct experience. Otherwise, our perception of God will be clouded by the lens of our own ego. Everything is hidden behind the egoic state of mind, and to understand God, you must leave it behind. Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to find the secrets to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. We are surrounded and absorbed by energy, and that energy is God." By looking at this concept, we will try to come up with explanation and risk overlooking the actual point that we are inherently identical to our essence. Through the act of looking, we will manifest an act of creation. What we seek, we will find. What science will look for, they will find. But what they'll find is another creation. As we are the mediators of God's expansion in our lives, the things we will assume or give our most attention to will manifest itself into our realities. Thus, the act of looking will end in an act of creation. The point I'm trying to make is that the more we look for God, the more we will manifest another creation of God, which personifies God. Therefore, the only place to find God is within you. That's the place where you do not need to look for Him, as it is you. God is present when the mind is absent. God is present when we let go of the act of seeking and let go of the act of search. God is pleased if you are pleased. God is harmony when you're in harmony. God is here when you're here. You get it now. Don't mistake any momentary pleasure of ego to be the pleasure of God. Anything experienced from the premise of separation is not the real experience of God. Hence, when we think of what the God is, we're creating another form of God through our ego. God is the feeling of deep awareness, and not the concept which our egos believe God to be. Allow me to clarify that the ego is not inherently negative. In fact, it is the driving force behind creation and the vast potential for evolution. Therefore, it's essential for our humanity to be driven by our egos. Otherwise, if we were all aware of our true nature and embraced the concept of unity, the need for further creation and motivation would cease to exist. The enjoyment of the game of life is enhanced by the unique expression of our individual selves. Rather than striving to destroy the ego, the aim is to cultivate it with grace. Embrace its presence, yet avoid becoming entirely consumed by it. Recognizing that your ego is separate from your true self is the initial stage. From there, you can appreciate your ego. It is important to remember that it is your ego, not you, the ego. And as soon as you begin to detach yourself from your ego, you will experience the presence of God. This doesn't mean that you will suddenly transcend, abandon your physical body, and merge with God. That's not the essence of it. The idea is not for you to reject this life and retreat into seclusion. The idea is for you to accept and make peace with your current circumstances, no matter how challenging they may seem. Attain a connection with God by letting go of the constant seeking, and then align yourself with God's purpose for your life. Follow the path that God has intended for you to follow. You may be wondering, and what path would that be? But deep down, you already know the answer. It's not your ego, but your true self that holds this knowledge. I have delved into numerous texts in search of God, but ironically, it left me feeling even more confused. Each depiction of God in these texts seems to be tainted by the ego, very human-like and self-centered. It's almost as if the descriptions were formulated by the ego. And then I realized that it's exactly that. The ego tries to rationalize the inexplicable, but the truth is that we cannot comprehend God through our minds alone. Searching for God externally is therefore a futile endeavor, albeit an enticing one. Personally, I find the pursuit of God to be captivating and have accepted this fascination as a product of my ego. I am playing along with this pursuit simply because I enjoy it. However, I am aware of where God truly resides. That being said, the magnificence of His creation never ceases to amaze me. I don't intend for this message to discourage you from seeking God, but rather to caution against seeking external fulfillment. You are already complete and whole as you are. Seek simply for the joy of discovering, for the sake of satisfying your curiosity. Simultaneously, you can experience God's presence in your life by quieting the mind and being present in the moment. Embrace all that science, religion, and knowledge have to offer. Strive to excel in this life and create a beautiful reality for yourself. Revel in the incredible experience that this world has to offer. However, always keep in mind the knowledge of your true self and carry the presence of God with you in your daily life. This will enrich the game of life and make it a more immersive and joyful experience. The presence of God is here. Through stillness, gain insight. I am that I am.